They're very different. It's one of the few mediums that you actually get a possessory credit. You've seen, Neil Simon's Plaza Suite. I mean, occasionally you see Lee Daniels' movie and so forth, but by and large, the words are really so much more the focus, and the writer is really respected, so much more in theater. But it's a different kind of medium altogether. You get to write, in theater, you get to write stories that are, can be very personal and very intimate and very small and really character driven and really, where the words are just important, and it's all about dialogue and all of that. I had a funny experience when I taught screenwriting for many years for a group called Writers Boot Camp, and I had a student who was a great woman. She was an actress. But she was always kind of bucking me about, structure and like, why do I have to structure things this way? And can't you loosen up in terms of this and that? And I would just try to explain to her how structure and storytelling, worked a certain way. So she came to see the play. This is my very first play. It was a long time ago. And she walked out and she said to me, she hugged me and she says, I love the play, but I loved the words. She said, I love that who's teaching me structure, that you wrote these amazing words that were just words. It was all words and character. And as an actress, that was her priority, great words and great character. And it was really like very eye-opening to me that how different words are when it comes to theater. Because, movies are about showing, not telling, very, very often, because you have the ability to show a lot of things without having to explain a lot of things. Whereas in theater, it's just much more limited in terms of what you can show, so you end up telling more. And that can be very interesting, and writers enjoy telling stories, which you can do on stage. So I like that. The live part of it, I write a lot of comedies, and to be with an audience and to be in an audience, a live audience where they're laughing and really responding or crying or whatever, and to be around them live, even different than being in a theater watching people watch your movie. It's different. There's something about the live experience that's really very it's just very moving and very compelling. So that part is great. And I don't know, I think as a writer, I always encourage screenwriters to write plays as well. I did it as a kind of way I wrote my first play at a time where I just had a little time and I needed to get something done that was mine. That like I didn't have to worry about selling, I didn't have to worry about it, fitting any particular paradigms. I could tell the story that I wanted to tell. And it just happened to have worked out. The play was, I was very proud of the play. We actually did a stage reading of it, and I was just surprised at the response to it. And then, I was just encouraged to, get the play produced, and we did. And it was a really fantastic experience. You also, as the writer, get to deal very directly with the actors and the director in a very different way than you do in TV and film. And because it's really more of that team effort at that particular moment, particularly if it's a new play, that you're kind of still discovering the words and working on the words as you're in rehearsals. And I'm also very, I've always been, whether it's in a film I've written or a play, I'm very interested in hearing what the actors have to say. Because just because you write a piece of dialogue a certain way doesn't mean that somebody who's has to say it can say it that way, or can say it in a comfortable way. And I just in my head, I hear it a certain way, and when it comes out of somebody's mouth, it may be different. And it's always fascinating to see which lines really don't play and really are too tongue twistery, or really don't make as much sense as they do. And you have that option when you're in rehearsal live at that moment, and it's kind of an evolutionary process.
Well, you have a stage play that you're producing coming up in
Yeah, I have
Beverly
a play
Hills?
that I'm not producing it. It's a theater called Theater 40 in Beverly Hills. They're producing it. They've been there a long time. It's a really good 99-seat theater, and they have a subscription, and they do a season. And this is the fifth out of the six plays of their 2016-17 season. It's called April, May, and June. And it's going on, it's going to run from March 16th through the middle of April 16th.
Okay.
And it's a story of three adult sisters who named April, May, and June. They're in their 40s, they're a year apart, and they convene at their late mother's house, which is the house they grew up in, to go through the very last of her things. And in doing so, they discover something about the mother that just blows their mind. And it's in a small way, it's a surprise, but it's in a small way connected to them and their own past. And it's kind of how they end up coming to terms with their image of the mother, and the whole idea of we never quite know people as much as we think, particularly parents. And the sisters, who are three very different but very connected, close women, their relationship is really improved by this afternoon they spend in their childhood house. And it's just how they come to terms with each other and the image of the mother, and they can finally, close up the house and move on.
So when you sat down to write that, were you in the same mindset of, I just want to do something that's my own, or was there some other impetus?
Well, what happened was in this particular case, and this happens every so often with a film script particularly, I'll come up with a title. And I just happened to, the title April, May, and June just came into my head for some reason. I go, that's a good title. I should do something with that. And I don't know, I just started writing it. It ended up becoming a stage play. I wasn't exactly sure where it was going when I started. At a certain point, I realized there was going to be this revelation about the mother. I realized what the revelation I wanted it to be, and it kind of evolved from there. So it was kind of a unique process that way, as opposed to like having it completely structured and having a full outline and really knowing where I was going. And then I wrote it and then edited it and ultimately got it to the place where I felt comfortable sending it out and showing it. But it was a very different process than the screenwriting that I do.
So is that common that you will just come up with a title and then work backwards?
Once in a while, I do that. Once in a while, it happens. Especially if this play is comedy drama. There's some, I hope good laughs in it, but there's also a lot of tears in it as well. So, but on a lot of just straight comedies that I do, just higher concept comedies, I've come up with titles and then figured out the story to go with it. Now, if there was no story attached, I wouldn't continue writing it. And then there are movies that I've written that I've ended up changing the title many times over things. So it just, it depends. But once in a while, it's, you think about people say, how do you get the idea to write this? Or where'd you come up with, who thought of something like that? Well, we're writers and we write and we're storytellers and we're creators, but sometimes they come from strange places. It can be from something that you've observed. It can be from people that you know. It can be from just coming up with a phrase or in this case, a title. So it's just one of those weird things.